Looks like I'm live in the flesh. Hello, hello, hello. So I see that Stan is here. I'm so happy that you're here, Stan, and then I know that you're here. I guess I always know you're there, but when you do this, it's like, wow, he's really there. Nancy, good morning. Lynn, good morning. Michael, good morning. And Stevie. All right, so Stan, Nancy, Lynn, and Michael, we were always together physically, and we're still here virtually, which is awesome. So thank you for joining me. Sorry I came on a little late. Lots is going on here in my house. All right. So if anybody wants to report anything, I'm taking into account who's here that I know is here. And then Lee is probably there as well. So hi, Lee, also our Wednesday regular. So I'm going to take into account knowing who's here. If you do want to share something with me, share it. I did actually come today prepared to do something. And now when I'm thinking of everyone that's here, I'm wondering if that's good. And then what I was thinking is that I want to show different ways to modify. And I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. That's been a really big thing for me lately is helping people figure out how to make everything work for their body and their issues. So let's do this. All right. Okay. So I like to say that the practice of yoga is the opportunity to come to the moment where you connect your mind, your body, and your soul. It is the time to slow down the craziness of life, whether that's what we think or what we experience. It's also the time to pay attention and to listen to our body. So making this practice, the physical posture part of this, fit your body is really, really important for optimizing your health forever. And I teach 5 classes a week, and 2 of them are pretty strong physical practices, my osteoporosis work that I do. The others, there's a range of what you can do and what you should do. And so I will say that my body feels so strong with whatever it is that I'm teaching. So it can be very, very strengthening. It can also be, my body doesn't go that high. My body can't do that shape. My knees can't bend like your knees, right? Whatever it is, we're going to make it work for ourselves. So I was going to begin in a seated position today. I think for some of you, sitting is hard because pushing down from above lets more of this come into your body. So I'm going to give the option today that I'm going to do this in a seated position, and I'm going to have those of you that would prefer to be on the ground to be on the ground. And I'd like to say that as you move from this upright position, standing, sitting, being upright, why don't you modify and let yourself go slowly to the ground. So if for some people it's really hard to get down to the ground, period, or even right away. So a modification of going all the way to the ground would be to go halfway to the ground. And this is a bolster, but you could do this with blankets or pillows. You could do 3 pillows with 1 pillow across for your head or 1 pillow across for your chest. So if you don't want to go all the way down, you could do this. If you want to go all the way down, you could go all the way down and you could use a bolster underneath your knees. Head on the blanket, body on the ground, bolster underneath your knees. That's a really great way to ground your mental energy. If you're dealing with a lot of thoughts or stress or whatever, the flatter you put your body, like that physical position, actually stimulates relaxation in the body. So if you do want to come all the way down, you could come all the way down. So that's the benefit of being down, is that I'm going to begin in a seated posture, because the benefit of being in the seated posture is allowing for the energy to flow up and down the spine. And it's also the opportunity for the lungs to expand in all their ranges of direction. So I'm going to sit on a bolster, and I also had a cushion as an example here as well to sit on. I don't feel that I need to be as high as the bolster, to be honest. So I think I am going to switch. I tried it, but it felt a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to come onto my bolster that's wedged shaped. Oh, see, that feels good. It's like Goldilocks, you know? When she went around the house, she laid in the beds, and this bed felt too hard, and this bed felt too soft, and this bed felt just right. And so that's what it is. You need to find what's appropriate for you and your body. So what we're going to do, so remember, the seated position gives your lungs the ability to move in all 6 ranges of motion. However, if you have tight hips and you have tightness in your upper back and neck, sitting might actually be too oppressive for you from above. So then you would go into that supine position or half supine. So whatever it is, I want you to come into something that is going to give you the ability to not be bothered by your body position. So either total relaxation, or if you could find relaxation in a sitting posture, try that. For some, that's an oxymoron, comfortably seated, because to sit is not always so comfortable. So whatever it is, and if you do come into this position here, you may need to actually support the weight of your knees with a block or a blanket or pillows. And I had to, before I had my hip replacement, I had to support the weight of my leg because it was too much pressure. This actually opens the hips. So this is with the legs to the side. It does actually help to soften up the hips. So from a traditional sitting position in a chair, this is actually a way to open up the hips when your kneecaps are pointing away to the sides as opposed to pointing forward. All right, so let's begin by practicing a breath called Ujjayi or ocean breath. And this is actually one of the traditional pranayamas, because the pranayama practices are when we actually control something where there's a flow of breath. So we either control nostrils in some of the pranayamas, or we control, in this case, we're going to control the throat. We're going to try to make a slight restriction of the throat. And don't go crazy. Don't make it so like you're trying to really restrict that flow. I want it to be a gentle restriction, so you actually hear an audible sound of whispering as the breath travels through the throat. Okay, so find your position, whatever it's going to be. Pick one. If it feels great, stay there. If it doesn't, move. All right. So here we are with the Ujjayi, the ocean breath. You're going to take your hand up and visualize that this is a mirror in your bathroom, and we're going to try to fog up the mirror in the bathroom. So you take a big inhale, and then open up the mouth and try to fog up that mirror. Inhale, keep the mouth open. See if you can do that with your eyes closed. Inhaling through the nose. See if you could let that exhale be a little more of a relaxed as opposed to a forced breath. And then go ahead and bring your hand down. Keep your eyes closed. Breathe in through your nose. Still make that sound on the exhale, but your hand is down, as if you're fogging up a mirror that's in front of you, so that you could take your finger and draw a heart, or cursive the word love. Bring your awareness to your throat when you do this. Notice the sound that's made as you gently restrict the airflow in the throat. If you'd like, you can add the words, I am whispering. So with each exhalation, bring your awareness to your throat. And as you hear that audible sound, repeat in your mind the words, I am whispering. You may also hear or sense that on the inhale as well. And if you'd like to use those words on the inhale, you can as well. I am whispering. Pay attention to your throat. Pay attention to your breath. Stay in your throat. I am whispering. We're going to add on the next exhale. When you exhale, repeat the words, I am whispering, and I feel it in my throat, or I notice it in my throat. I am whispering, and I notice it in my throat. I am whispering, and I notice it in my throat. Listen to that gentle whisper. Feel the breath, notice the breath moving in the throat. Finish this breath and take one more like that. And bring both hands onto your belly. Keep your eyes closed. On your inhale, bring the breath down to your hands. Feel your belly expand. And on the exhale, bring your awareness to your throat. I am whispering, and I notice it in my throat. Make sure you feel your belly rise on the inhale. Finish the breath that you're on. And take 3 more breaths, long, slow, connected. Feeling your hands move on the inhale. Bringing your awareness to your throat to notice the breath moving through the throat on the exhale. And then the end of that exhale, the last exhale, let it go. Let your hands come back onto your thighs or by your side, wherever you are. And bring your hands together. Rub your hands together. Feel the heat. Go a little faster. And then cover your eyes. See if you can feel the heat coming off your palms. Healing heat energy to heal the eyes. Keeping the eyes closed. Notice if you see anything or notice anything, any kind of movement. Maybe even a black and white screen from the 50s where you had to keep turning the rabbit ears in order to get the reception. See if you could see any fuzzy stuff or anything. And then gently allow your eyes to blink themselves open. Be patient. And then go ahead and bring your hands down. Notice how you're feeling. When we take control of our respiratory system, we affect our nervous system, we affect our cardiovascular system, we affect our digestive system. So the body systems, immune system as well, the body systems, they're either preparing for fight or flight, or preparing to repair, to restore, to relax, and to renew. When we do pranayama, which we just did, Ujjayi, ocean breath, when we do that, we actually take control of our body system, which will have a positive domino effect on our body systems and put us in the zone of healing. So hopefully you feel some kind of relaxed state and have another tool to add to your treasure chest of tools to stay happy and healthy forever. That's my goal. Happy, healthy, strong bones, strong balance, strong body forever. All right. So wherever you are, if you're on the ground, bring your knees into your chest and roll onto your side. Go slow. We'll wait for you. Don't go too fast. Bring yourself back up to a seated position. And then we're going to prepare ourselves to do some movement, some strengthening, some lengthening. So we're going to prepare ourselves here. Let's take our blanket and bring the blanket onto the middle of your mat. Now, for those of you that could come up in this position here, on the balls of the feet, balancing, heels are off the ground, body is nice and erect. See if you can do that. Of course, you'd have to have the ability to bend the knees, and not all have that. For those of you that can, grab the floor with your toes. This is a nice way to practice balance and to maintain balance in the body. A lot of wiggling, a lot of ankle dancing, and you need your ankles to dance forever so that you can stay upright and not for fall prevention. All right, so then you're gonna come onto your blanket. Let's walk your hands pretty far forward. So those of you with wrist issues will be a little bit, feeling a little bit better if your hands are forward. And then take one foot back, flip the toes under, let all 5 toes touch, and push your heel back to feel that stretch in the calf area. And have your hands be wherever they need to be. Spread your arms pretty wide here. And then let's do the same thing with the other foot. So especially if you come out of a seated position and you do your breath work in a seated position, and you have your knees and hips bent, you want to open up that pathway. And it actually is therapeutic. It's like kinking up a hose, stopping or restricting the flow. And then you open up that flow and it comes with a kush. So whenever we can have moisture coursing through our body like that, it's a good thing. It's what helps keep us nice and young and vibrant and healthy. All right, we're going to come into something called puppy dog. For some of you, having a block or a something to rest your forehead on will be good. The thing about puppy dog is this: you take your hands in front of you and you keep your arms straight. Your tushy is in the air. So you see my knee is what can bend and my hip joint can bend, right? This is a 90-degree angle. We're gonna start to bend this hip joint area in order to push our body back. So there's a deeper fold in my hip. Hands are forward. Rest your head on top of the floor or a block. I'd like your head to be touching so that you're resting. And I'd like it to be the forehead right above the eyebrows. And then arms are straight or as straight as you could get them. The thing I'd like you to bring your awareness to here is your spine. Let your spine be nice and long here. And the weight should feel like it's falling backwards towards your heels. So if you're too far forward, you're going to feel a lot of pressure in your head and your neck. It's going to feel terrible. So you need to walk yourself back so that the pelvis, which is a large bony structure, will be starting to move backwards. And it's kind of probably a physics thing where the weight is moving back that's greater than the hands. And so you're going to feel a stretch underneath the armpit and the chest area. This is where the arms attach to the body. This is going to help with posture, upper back and neck tension. And then I want the spine to be nice and long. So let your head rest. You have 26 vertebrae. Can you create space in every one of your spine bones here, stretching and lengthening your spine? For those with osteoporosis, keep your spine really long and push your low ribs and your heart towards the floor. Everyone push your low ribs and heart towards the floor, but especially if you have osteoporosis, you don't want to put extra pressure on the front of your vertebra. Take one more breath. Now I want you to walk your hands over to the right, go over to the right, and let your left hand keep walking away from you even more and more and more, and then rest your head on your left arm. You should feel some kind of stretch up the side of your body, by your armpit and by the side of your body. There's a lot of lymphatic vessels here. There's also really thick connective tissue that we need to keep limber. Deep breath. Keep letting your tailbone point backwards. Even push your belly up towards your spine. So you come into a little bit of a posterior tilt, or what people would say is tucking the pelvis. Not necessarily a correct term, but one that people understand. Rest your head on that left arm. The more you rest the weight of the head on the left arm, the deeper the stretch is on that left side. Take one more breath. And then you're going to come up, walk your hands over to the left. Now the right hand is reaching away from you, and you're going to rest your head on the right arm. Feel that stretch on the right side. I'd like you to notice, is it in the same location? Maybe you can notice that, and maybe you can't. Try to keep your arms straight, no bend. Take one more breath. And then walk yourself back to center. Bring yourself slowly, 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 slowly up. There's a lot of pressure of the blood going down towards the head. So I didn't mention this, but whenever the head is lower than the heart, that's an inversion. And for those with uncontrolled blood pressure, it's counterindicated to do inversions, and also for those with glaucoma. And then of course with headaches. So sorry I did not mention that earlier. Let's come all the way up here. So you're on your shins, and if the legs don't like to be weighted on, maybe you could get another blanket here so that you're feeling comfortable. And putting yourself in these different positions that we normally don't gives us an opportunity to stretch body parts that maybe we don't always get to. And it's important to keep your vessel mobile and functional throughout life. So let's take the foot to the side, and you're gonna let your toes point forward. So for some of you, walking the foot forward may be a little bit more comfortable. For others, getting it to come directly off your body is a possibility. And then right here, the side hip joint, we're gonna try to do a little bit of moving your pelvis to the side and then letting it come back. Move the pelvis. It's a very small movement. I know for myself, I definitely feel that in here, in the hip. It's not a natural bending that we would do with our hip. And so I'd like to say that the risk of falling increases as you age. So after, let's say 50-ish, is when that risk increases. And so the more play and the more mobility you can bring into your body, the more you can either stop yourself or maybe fall with more ease, if that's like such a thing to say. And the more we can pull on the bones here in the practice, we can either stimulate bone growth or create more range of motion in the joints, and introduce more play so that there's less likelihood of pulling on bones and creating stress fractures. So it's just really important to stay flexible and a good range of motion in your joints for healthy aging, wherever you are in that process. All right, let's do gate pose, gate latch pose. So a nice tall body here. Take your hand on your leg, take the opposite hand up, and then we're gonna reach the hand up and over. And if the shoulder doesn't like that, you could take your hand here on your shoulder and lift your elbow up. You're still gonna get a lot of great effects. Make sure that the foot that's on the floor, the arch is active and lifting up, and you're pushing downward into the side of that foot. Stretching the ankle, good for balance, more fall prevention, joint, increased range of motion work here as well. So do whatever feels appropriate for your body. Lift your heart, no collapsed upper body. Take one more breath. And then go slow when you exhale to come out. You're gonna find that on the other side of the body, going slow and find your way in. I think it's always a really nice thing to do is to notice the asymmetry that exists in almost all of our bodies. So that when you do come into a different side, notice, where do I feel the tension on this side? Do I feel tension? Is this side easier? Is it more challenging? The other thing I didn't mention on the other side is there's a weight-bearing aspect to this. So there is some potential for bone stimulation in the pelvis and the top of that upper leg bone, which is very important for us as we age to minimize the potential risk of hip fractures or upper leg fracture. So here you are coming into this. We're going to introduce this into this hip. You're going to, like a little hula dance, side to side, barely any movement, enough to feel that you deepen the stretch and you create some kind of sensation that's appropriate for your body. And then for those with hip, low back, and knee issues, this area would be the neighbor to the low back, the neighbor to the knee, and it is in the hip joint area. So I found with my own journey of hip issues that the more movement that exists in the pelvis, the less tension I experienced in my hip. And for those with low back issues, taking some tension and tightness out of here can actually free up some of what takes place above. So you don't always have to work in the exact location to experience the benefit of the posture. This is gate latch posture. Don't I look like a gate latch? All right, hand is on the leg. Take the hand down alongside your body. Palm is open. And then let's inhale and reach up. Feel that beautiful stretch on the side of your body. And then, of course, modify if you need. And I'd like you to call it beautiful. I'd like you to say, wow, this is beautiful. So that there's a positive intention with what's happening in your body. So your cells can hear that and make it feel positive. Deep breaths all the way down to the ground. Take one more breath. And then you're going to bring yourself back up. You're going to come down if you can. For those of you that can come down on your feet. Keep your soles of your feet together. For those of you that can't, stay up here. And I'd like you to do shoulder circles. Forward, up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down. Feel the fluidity of movement here. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take the neck, moving the neck side to side. So let it be that the ear goes straight up towards the sky and the other ear straight up towards the sky. And then bring yourself back to center. I'd like to strengthen the side of our body because that's really important for our back and for our knee and our hip, especially the knee. And I know a lot of people have knee issues. It's the biggest joint in the body, the #1 weight-bearing joint, and boy, does it take all that we give it throughout our lives. And we need our knees to be able to do all the things we want to do. So let's strengthen the side of our body. I'm going to give you 2 options because one of them is a humdinger and requires a lot of strength. So the one option for those of you that feel pretty strong would be side plank. And I would say that side plank is probably a better posture to do near a wall because it's very strengthening and very strong and wobbly. So this would be side plank. The other option I'd like to give you is a modification of a posture called half moon, which is this. Okay, so here we're going to be lifting and strengthening our side body like this. So you're going to choose whatever one you would like to do. And I'd like to guide you through both of them, actually. So let's all do half moon first. Let's all do half moon. So can you all please come to your right side so that your right hand is on the floor, your legs are on the floor. Walk your hands forward so you have some space and grab a block because the block may be helpful for some. So you're going to take your left hand onto the block, slide your right foot off to the side. So it's still on the floor, you just slid it over. Drag your toenails on the floor. And then you're going to bring your left leg up. So your left leg is alongside your body. It may not look like this is my left, but you may be on the other side because we might be mirroring. Take your left hand on top of your thigh and then exhale as you lift your left leg pretty high here. And then bring your left arm in the air if you can. Now, if you want to be a little fancy, you could bend your knee and reach back and grab the top of your left leg. Not everybody can do that. It doesn't make it better. It just is another option, wherever you are. And then come up onto your fingertips like you're holding a frosted cupcake. So everybody should be here in this. Reach through your heel, reach long. Make this leg super active. All the muscles are hugging the bones of the leg. You're not just like a floppy fish hanging out. Lift up like it's got a 100-pound weight on it and you're trying to lift it up away from the ground. Take one more breath. And then exhale to bring yourself slowly out. So remember, in every posture, no matter how it looks, you can add extra muscular tension to create a very strong posture for your body, regardless of your ability. And then let's come to the other side. I'm moving so that I could be forward to the camera, that you could be on the other side. You're going to have the left hand on the ground now. The right hand is going to be on the block. You're going to slide the left toes on the floor to move out to the side. And then you're going to bring yourself up. Take your right leg right alongside your body. That'll help to set you up for success. And then on the exhale, lift that leg really high. Arm is up. Deep breaths here. There's balance, there's flexibility and strength in this. This is called half moon, and it's a modification if you wanted to get a little fancy. and bend your foot and come into the back bend version. And then you could also pop up into fingertips for those whose wrists are saying, oh my goodness. Really strong, wherever you are, strong. Come back to this version. Lift your leg up like it has a 100-pound weight on it. You're trying to lift it up. Reach through your heel. Really strong muscular legs. Contract the muscles of the leg. Very strong. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. So I'm going to do the side plank, and that might have been a challenging posture for some of you. So for some of you, maybe you're gonna just take a break and take some deep breaths. For those of you that want to do the side plank, we're gonna do 3 breaths on each side, okay? Let's go to our left side. Well, we just came from our left side, right? So let's go to our right side first. So your hands are wide. Remember, this is not for everyone. Take one foot back and then the other foot back. They are touching each other. You're in a plank pose. And then lift your pelvis up, roll onto the outside of your foot. Bring yourself up, lift your pelvis away from the floor, and take 3 breaths. If this is really, really too hard, bend the top leg, put the top leg in front, and push the top leg into the floor, and let that help you lift your pelvis away from the floor. When you finish your last breath, you can bring yourself out and come all the way out. It's a very strong posture, probably one of the most strongest postures I do in this practice. All right, let's do the other side. Take your feet back one at a time, right next to each other. Lift the pelvis up and roll into the outside of your foot. Lift up. So you're lifting your pelvis away from the floor. Don't let it collapse. Remember, if you need to bring the foot forward, bring the foot forward. Really push the foot, though, that's on the floor down. Woo. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself down. Shake your wrists. So the plank posture, the side plank posture, I'm going to say is a very powerful posture to help with spinal health. And especially if you know you have scoliosis, doing the side plank on the side of your scoliosis will strengthen the upper body. The other thing is, so I would push away more with my hand on that if I was protecting my spine in some way or wanting to strengthen my spine. And then the foot position, when you're pushing the edge of the foot into the floor, lifting the pelvis, that is tremendous strengthening potential for the side of your hip. So for those of you that are able to, those are some things that I do quite often. The side plank, 3 breaths on each side, sometimes 5, depending on where I'm at, to really keep my body as strong as possible. So I really love, it's called Vasisthasana. And for me, one of my most challenging postures for sure. Okay, so we're gonna come onto all 4s. You're gonna modify if you need to for your wrists. I know there's a lot of wrist work today. Taking the the mat and rolling up the mat is a really great way to minimize that tension in the wrist for some of you. And if you do that, you're gonna move your blanket back so you're not too crunched in your form. I'd like you to have your hands really wide, your knees are really wide, walk your feet away so you have a lot of space for your body here. Let's push your body back and forth side to side so you're pushing around in your hips and in your shoulders. And then come back, go back and forth, back and forth. So the joints that we're on are hips and shoulders. They're balls in sockets. So see if it's okay for you to go in a circular pattern in one direction. Go slow, because your hips and your shoulders will determine if this is a safe range of motion for you. And then the other side. Feel your way into what feels appropriate. And then bring yourself back to center. Come off of that. Let's take the rest. I'd like to do a plank posture, and we'll do a dolphin because we've done a lot of wrist work today. And I know for many, that's a challenge. Let's stretch our wrist. Take your arm straight, keep that elbow straight, and then you're gonna bend the wrist as much as it'll bend. Take your opposite arm, draw that arm in the socket. So you see how your arm could go long and it can move? Because this shoulder joint is moving. So pull your arm back, bring that shoulder blade back onto the back, and then take the opposite hand and push the back of the hand to stretch the wrist. So this stuff that I'm telling you right here, shoulders seems to be a area that many people are experiencing issues. So this understanding that the top of this arm bone moves back and forth, move it back. It's supposed to live back. And for most of us, it lives too far forward and causes a lot of issues. And then let's take the hand like a stop sign or stop, saying no. Draw that arm deep into the joint. Take your hand and push not just the fingers, but the palm as well. So you experience a stretch on the lower arm. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead, take your hand. Let's do the same thing with the other hand. Arm is straight, draw that arm, like let's do this here. So the arm stays straight, you move it away, you bring it back, you move it away, you bring it back. The humerus bone here, the way it was taught to me for visual, is that it's an orange on top of a saucer. So think of a big orange on top of a saucer, very shallow set joint, and it's a ball. So when you bring your arm up, it comes to the front edge of that joint, or it can go back with the elbow straight. See how my elbow is staying straight? So bring your hand and draw it deep into the socket, bend your wrist, take your hand behind and push your hand towards your body so you feel here. This is the number one area of fracture from falling in our bodies. The number one area fractured is the wrist, because it's how we brace ourselves from falling, is we use our hands. Then you're going to take your hand, you're going to bring your hand up like this, and you're going to bring your fingers in your hand to bring it towards you. Keep your arms straight. Keep the arms in deep in the shoulder joint. And then take your hand and shake your hand. So we'll come down to do a dolphin plank, because this is a great way to keep you strong, to keep your body strong. We need strength in our muscles, and we need to be strong, right? So I'd like to use a block, because when you use the block, you need to push in like this. And when you push in like this, it turns on stabilizing muscles of the shoulder girdle. So it's good to give us strength in our posture and alignment, which translates to better balance, which translates to less potential of falling. And that's what I want for you all, because that is what we all want to avoid, or we want to be better fallers if we do fall. All right. So you're going to take your block like this, and you put your block between your hands so your elbows come below. You don't want your elbows out to the side. You want your elbows to be below. And if you have no block, you want this position here. So let's have your knees be on your blanket, have your hands on your block, and then let's bring ourselves forward, 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 and then bring one arm down at a time. Walk your arms closer to your elbows. Your elbows closer to your shoulders, so they're right underneath. You could keep your lower body, not your low body, not your belly. My belly's not touching, just my low body. Or you could flip your toes under and bring yourself up into a dolphin plank. So I'm going to stay here for a whole minute, and you may need to come down before that. That's okay. You do what's appropriate for you. Push your hands into the block, hands into the floor, forearms into the floor, and then your feet into the floor. Nice long spine. And if you'd like to bring your awareness to your throat and do the breath where you bring your awareness to your throat and you hear or notice the sound in your throat, you could do that. One more breath. And then go ahead, bring yourself down, bring your pelvis all the way back. And then bring yourself up to a Sphinx pose. So let your belly be heavy. Bring your awareness to your belly. See if you can push your belly towards the floor. And then bring your awareness to your knees. Push your knees towards the floor. Push your feet towards the floor. Then push your arms into the floor and try to pull your rib cage away from your pelvis. So get a little longer in your body. And your gaze could be forward, not too high up. So forward, and then push your heart forward. So the whole front of your body you're trying to open. Breathe down to your belly. Then we're going to do something to correct our lumbar spine, reset the joints of the lumbar spine, which is the low back. Make sure your pelvis is supported by the blanket, and then take your elbows out to the side. Take your hands and cradle your head in your hands. So hold your jaw with your palms and try to have your heel of your hands pretty close together. Take your legs wide, spread your legs wide, and do a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle of your pelvis. Hold on to the weight of your head. Breathe down to your belly. Breathe down to the low ribs. So let the weight of your head go. Maybe you need to let your arms go a little wider to the side. You're holding the head with your arms. And you're going to take the hands and put the palms down, one hand on top of the other, and then rest the forehead on the back of the hands. Let everything go. Breathe down to your belly. So we're going to stretch the inner thighs. We're going to do a passive stretch here with the ground. So let's take a leg. I'm going to do my left leg. And you're going to slide your leg out to the side. So the top leg bone comes straight out of the hip joint to the side. And then the lower leg is right underneath the knee. So you have two right angles here. You try to get your hip joint to be a 90-degree angle or the shape of the letter L. And you try to get that shape in your knee. And then also get that shape in your ankle. Breathe down to your belly. Take one more breath. Slowly come out of that, come back to neutral. Take a pause there from one side to the other. Let your legs be heavy. Breathe to your belly. Then you're going to slide the other knee out to the side. Try to create those right angles from the hip joint, the knee joint, and the ankle joint.
And then stay here with your breath, breathe to your belly. For us to come to a place of creating more space in our joints, calmly breathing and relaxing and accepting this moment, however mellow the posture is you're putting your body in, however mellow it seems to you, each posture has so much therapeutic value. Releasing, creating space, allowing more movement, freeing up congestion. So let each posture be what it is. Two more breaths. Bring your legs back. Spread your legs and then bend your knees. Rest your forehead on the back of the hands. Let your legs go side to side and make it more about them flopping as opposed to you pushing them. So there's a little bit more passive action here, releasing tension in the glute area, posterior hip, and the low back. If you'd like to let one go and then the other, slow it down, make one work at a time. Just see what range of motion you have in the hip here. And then if you do happen to have one fake hip and one real, it's very interesting to feel how amazing a fake hip moves. A ceramic ball with plastic and titanium. That's what I experience. And if you don't, notice what range of motion, where do you feel the tension when your leg goes out to the side or when your leg comes in? Those are two different movement patterns. See if you could feel it all the way up the low back, because there's a muscle that's attached to the inner leg bone and the low back. And then bring yourself back to center. Let your legs come straight off your body, and let's bend one knee at a time, not just flip-flopping. Now I want you to notice the functionality of your knee joint. And for those with knee issues, see if this feels appropriate to move like this. If it does, do it more often. Because when we move, motion is lotion, and you create some secretion in your joints when you do movement. And then let's roll onto the side. Let everything happen here. Then you're going to take your hand, pushing away from the floor, bring yourself up. Let's come into a seated position. Take the blanket, fold the blanket, and let's sit on the blanket at the front edge and bring your feet together in what's called Baddha Konasana. Actually, let's bring them a little closer at first, stretching the inner thighs, holding on to your lower leg bones or your ankle joint area. Be as tall as you could be in your spine. So feel your pelvis and your tailbone pushing down, and feel you lifting up so you get some nice lengthening to come into your low back area as you pull your rib cage away from your pelvis. Breathe down to your pelvis. Now, it's so interesting, but when we're in a seated position, this is called weight bearing. So we're actually We could go a little deeper in some of our movements when we're in a seated posture. Okay, take one leg straight and one leg is bent. And then you're going to bring your hand, straight leg, you're gonna bring that hand to the inside. So the back of the hand, the pinky touches the floor, and the back of the hand presses up against that leg. You wanna make sure that you're not rounded, that you're nice long in your spine lifting. Then take the opposite hand, look at the thumb, look at the hand, and when you inhale, reach the hand away from you and reach it up. Reach away and up. Open up your chest, open up your throat. Try to keep your ribs as far away from the top of your pelvis as possible. So really find that length in your torso as you add these upper spinal movements of flexion, extension, and rotation. Moving your upper spine. Pull away from your pelvis. Inhale, look at your thumb. Exhale. Inhale. And then one more. Inhale, stay there. Reach your arms away from you, not necessarily up towards the sky, but more away and up. And then deep breaths down into your pelvis. One more breath. And then bring yourself out of that. Lots of spinal readjustments. Maybe some of you feel them. Maybe some of you have more stickiness and more cobwebs, so you're not able to move your joints as well. Or maybe some of you are moving your joints a lot, but you're just not able to really have that inner body awareness of feeling that happen. So I feel my joints moving all the time. So I know I'm doing a chiropractic adjustment here, self-adjustment. And that's what this practice is for. The physical postures are to keep my vessel nice and mobile forever. All right, take the hand on the inside and then make sure you're not collapsing. Really nice, tall, pulling the lower ribs and the entire rib cage away from the pelvis. Pelvis is deeply rooted and you're creating space in your waist, lifting up and away. Take your hand away, exhale, and then inhale to open. Go slow so you can experience the sticky places. Experience where you have the tightness, where those little stabilizing muscles or ligaments or tendons are stretching extra. You inhale to open. You exhale to come back. Inhale. And then one more. Inhale to open. Stay here. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Bend your knees pretty wide. Take your hands behind you. And then let your knees fall in towards the floor. So the knee, your inner knee is trying to come towards the floor, right? Whatever range of motion feels appropriate for your body, for your hips. Try not to collapse your chest. Push away and lift your chest up. And then walk your hands a little farther away if the wrists don't like this. One more thing, let's take our legs really wide. So sit on a blanket. You could reach down and grab a hunk of flesh, moving your flesh back. Take your legs really wide. Pull your rib cage away from your pelvis. Pelvis is rooted down. You're creating as much space in between pelvis and low ribs. For those of you with back issues, that's one thing you want to focus on, because the muscles that rotate the trunk and that connect the lower and upper body are on the underneath of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. So lengthen your spine here, push your tailbone down towards the ground, pull space between the 26 vertebrae, open your throat, and if you can, bend at your hip joint to come forward.
It's a hip joint bend, not a spinal bend. Take your hands on your legs to push into your legs to really get that length. And then experience what you experience. Notice the stretch wherever it is for you. And only go into the place of the intensity that's appropriate. And smile. Take one more breath. All right. Let's go down onto the ground. Let's do a little supportive strengthening. Oh, usually I turn off that dang phone, but not today. Gotta love real life. All right. So we're going to take our blanket onto the top of the mat. You're going to need your block for this. Let's get our strap as well if you have a strap. If you don't have a strap, that's okay. But let's go down into the ground. Coming to the side if you have osteoporosis, bringing yourself down onto the ground. Let's take our strap, do a little bit for the feet, for the calves. Bring both feet up and take the strap around your feet. For those that could come to straight legs, come to straight legs. For those that can't, have a little bit of a bend in your legs. Have your feet be body distance at least. And you're holding onto your strap. Your soles of your feet are pointing up to the sky if you're straight, or if your knees are slightly bent, still try to really point as much of your sole upward as opposed to away from you, right? So really try to be active here. Straight or a little bent, and now push into the pinky toe edges of your feet so that you feel that translate down to the side of your body. Also, quadriceps will get a workout here as well, especially if your knees are straight. So you could use the strap to try to bring your legs up, even if you need to bend your knees to get up there. You could have your knees bent, soles of the feet are up towards the sky. Still going to get a lot of that effect. Okay, so stay here. Notice what you notice here. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead. Take the strap. Let's take the strap on one foot into the arch. The other leg comes on the floor. A little side to side action here to stretch the foot, to stretch the ankle joint. You're pulling on one side and the other. You're letting your ankle bend. And then let's bring the other foot up. Do the same thing here. See if you could experience that stretch in your leg, allowing the dance and the play to take place always in your ankles. Take your strap off. Let's do our bridge, strengthening our body. Let's take the block in between the knees. Take the blanket away from the back of the head. Walk your feet away from you. Actually, walk your feet towards you. Lift your head up, lengthen the back of the neck, tuck the chin towards the chest, slide the shoulder blades towards the spine, arms are down alongside the body. Let's squeeze the block, flatten the low back, feel the top edge of the pelvis pressing into the floor. Inhale, push your feet into the floor and peel your spine off. Close your eyes. Feel each vertebra as it leaves. And then exhale to lower. Place each vertebra back down. Inhale to lift. And then down. One more. Lift up and stay up for 3 breaths. When you're ready to come down, you'll come down. Take your block out. Walk your feet a little bit away from you and walk your feet a little bit wide, not all the way to the edge of the mat. Lengthen the back of the neck, tuck the chin towards the chest. Tilt the pelvis so that the low back presses into the floor, top edge of the pelvis on the floor. Push your feet into the floor, take an exhale, and then inhale. Peel your spine up and away from the floor slowly, especially those of you that get crampy. You want to go slow so your muscles realize what you're trying to do. You set yourself up for success. Slow on the inhale, you peel away. And next time you come up, stay there for a few breaths. And bring yourself down. Let's go a little wider now. Maybe all the way off the mat. Maybe that's appropriate for you. Flatten your low back into the floor, exhale. And as you inhale, peel yourself up. With each one, you're probably able to, so don't go crazy. Getting your body away from the floor is what matters. Doesn't matter how far away it is. Next time you come up, you're going to stay up for a few breaths. Last breath. Walk your feet back. Let's take the blanket back underneath your head. So that little bridge sequence there is a great way to strengthen your back, your legs, your glutes. Very supportive of posture and balance and fall prevention to keep the back of your body strong. And then you determine what's appropriate for you. Should you do 2 movements each day? Should you do 3? Can you work up to 5? And try to practice these things daily so that you keep your package that you live in very strong. So you could do all the things you want to do in your life forever. If you could come into Happy Baby, hold on underneath the back of the upper thighs, draw the knees towards the armpit. And if you have access to grab the feet, grab the feet. If you grab the feet, the legs have to be apart. It's easy to grab the feet when the feet are together, but you want the feet to be apart here. Could hold on to the toes or to the feet or hold on to the backs of the thighs. Not one is better, but one is better for your body. Choose that one. And then we're going to allow all of this work to integrate into our bodies, coming into a Shavasana posture, a posture of relaxation, allowing the integration of everything to sink into your body. So if you'd like to get a bolster for underneath your knees, do that. Or if you'd like to come into the traditional Shavasana posture, come in with the legs straight alongside the body. The focus is on the breath. So breathe. Gently begin to bring your awareness to your breath. Bring the awareness to your hands and your toes, and your fingers and your feet, your ankles, your wrists. Start to move your body. Bringing your knees into your chest. Go slow. Press your knees up against your belly. Press the back into the floor. Give yourself a massage. And roll onto your side. Pushing yourself, lead with your shoulder, not your head. So you go slow. Bring yourself up to a seated position. We'll close the practice with sound.
a humming sound. Bring your hands together. The thumbs touch the sternum bone right by the heart. Lengthen your spine. Heavy in your pelvis, nice long spine. Let's take a deep breath all the way down to the pelvis. Bowing namaste. Namaste. Yoga is management of energy. And when we do the practice, we're managing the energy of the mind, the energy of the body. We're managing energy in the present moment and then trying to always keep the energy in the good place so that we don't come up against future pain, discomfort. So there's a lot of preventative aspects to the physical practice as well. So showing up for yourself, an act of self-care, practice every day, and keep yourself nice and healthy as you age. Namaste. All right, so I hope that was good. And I hope you feel good, like James Brown, right? I feel good. All right. Good morning, Martha. Nice to have you here. Michael, you are welcome. All right, so hopefully you guys feel great. This is a great practice to keep our bodies strong and to do it safely and to not poke the monster of pain for those of you with issues in your tissues. That's my hope. All right, you're welcome, Stevie. Good, good. Feel good. That's what I want. All right, everyone, I'm off. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in whatever I see you in. All right. See you later. I have an osteoporosis lifestyle course coming up. So my newsletter, hopefully today, will have that information. Also, podcast interview with a physician on pranayama breathwork. So look for that in the next few days. All right. Bye.